I-24 News Morning Edition on this March 29th, 2016, and the next one is a red one. Communism used to be completely passé, a nostalgic relic of the 20th century, thought to have been left behind together with shoulder padding and ghetto blasters, but right here in Israel, and just about 5 kilometers south of our studio in the city of Bat Yam, where one man by the name of Ami Kaufman also lives, communism rears its head. The Kids Want Communism is a surprisingly bold exhibition at the Bat Yam Museum of Art marking 99 years to the October Revolution, a year-long project where dozens of artists, Israeli and international, will exhibit their communism-inspired art alongside lectures, screenings, and events. So is this a beautifully arranged requiem to communism or a hip backlash at brute capitalism? And is it okay and already PC to call somebody a communist without it being a curse? That's a million-dollar question. So with me to find out that around this table and to try and tackle that question is I-24 News journalist Maya Magritte. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You went and investigated this in depth.
Very in-depth.
Very in-depth, exactly. And also we have a live communist, okay? Communist Party member and activist Nimrod Flaschenberg. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
You know, you are just, I mean, chapeau to you, she said. Before anything else, let's take a look at Maya Magritte's report. Break it down after that.
It's been 99 years since Russia's Tsarist regime was overthrown and a communist one took its place. To mark the occasion, museums around the world are hosting exhibitions, screenings, and seminars. In collaboration with institutions in Greece, Ukraine, Poland, Slovenia, and Czech Republic, the Museum of Bat Yam in Central Israel is featuring a year-long series of exhibitions titled The Kids Want Communism.
In a way, unlike the centennial, 99 years enable us to look at what could have happened, what should have happened, what should not have happened, what might still happen, so that 99 leaves that, missing part that still calls for our engagement and involvement. It's not a sealed story.
More than 2 decades after the Soviet Union collapsed, the exhibition hopes to open a space for discussing communism. Much of the art on display is by contemporary artists. In his work, Ra'anan Harlap collects objects used in the construction of buildings to create an installation designed to imitate early public housing in Israel.
Housing was a given. It was not something elusive that one had to dream about. At the time, it was almost obvious that people would have a roof over their heads. This notion is perhaps connected to communism, or that perspective, which argues certain things are not meant to be commercialized.
Soviet-era art is also on display in The Kids Want Communism. Aelita, Queen of Mars, is a 1924 flick considered to be the first ever Soviet science fiction film. In fact, it was a source of inspiration for Fritz Lang's classic, Metropolis, which came out just 3 years later.
It's based on a novel, and the novel itself actually tells the story of a communist revolution on Mars, but then a failed one.
In the film, the main character travels to the Red Planet and helps lead a revolution against its aristocratic overlords. However, a new totalitarian state soon takes its place. Originally embraced by the USSR's ruling Communist Party, the movie was later banned by Stalinist critics. Other works in the exhibition also highlight the significance of Mars and its connection to Red October. Noah Yaffe's Red Star is an installation that presents a diorama of Mars, as well as the unmanned spacecraft which landed on the planet in the 1970s.
The red planet basically symbolizes the red flag, to go to another place and to build a new idea there, a place where everyone is completely equal, we could say.
Childhood memories, looking at the stars, sci-fi films, and dreaming about an alternative future. Like Mars, these elements in The Kids Want Communism combine to become symbolic of the unattainable ideals of Bolshevism. Just like the red planet, they remain a distant horizon, always out of reach.
First, before anything else, some breaking news coming in right now. Just one source at this point Egypt Air domestic flight from Alexandria to Cairo has been hijacked. That's according to a spokesperson of Egypt Air. That's a domestic flight from Alexandria to Cairo, supposedly has been hijacked. There are 82 people on that flight. Some initial early reports claim that flight has landed in Larnaca, but it is a flight that supposedly has been hijacked. And as we said, 82 people on that airline. We're going to keep tracking this story throughout the morning as we go along. Back to us in studio right now. Maya, Magritte, I want to say that's a phenomenal bit of information. Communism, alive and well and kicking in Bat Yam. Do you think that at this point in time it's okay already to, revisit it as an art exhibition?
Well, what's interesting about the art exhibition is that it's not really trying to push the idea of communism. It's not about flags and, anthems and things like that. That's not the feeling you get when you go into the exhibition. It's much more about using your imagination, the science fiction, the fantasy, the paintings. It's all about imagining a different kind of future, basically.
A different kind of future that is very different to what we know right now.
Exactly.
Incredibly so, because as a mother, I can say that it bothers me that my 3.5-year-old, the only thing she says when you go out of the house is, "Mommy, what can we buy?" Nimrod, do you have children?
No.
Okay, but you are a communist. That is, first of all, how many people are in the Communist Party?
Well, I don't know the exact number, but we are a mass movement that has been in the Israeli parliament since its foundation, and it still is one of the major parties, especially in the Arab street in Israel, but also among Jews. The Communist Party is the major component of Hadash,
right,
which is the Democratic Front for Peace and Equality, a part of the joint list in this Knesset. And we have members of parliament, we work.
No, completely.
And we are a major part of the Israeli left.
Whatever is left of it.
Yeah.
The only thing I'm wondering with you out loud, because communism at the end of the day is something that, it's a stream of thought that failed. It lost in the modern world in many ways. In terms of that, how does one maintain? Maya, I'll start with you. When you look at this art, when you look at does it attract people in this day and age?
I think the art is very attractive. The Soviet-era films are really beautiful, actually, especially the 1924 film Aelita. It's quite impressive the way it was done. It's cubo-futuristic art, and the costumes are very attractive. The art itself is attractive. I don't know about the ideology. I can't speak for that. Right. But there is something attractive in imagining a future where things are more equal, or where there's better, social status for people. For people coming in. And so, Nimrod, I'm trying to sell that narrative of socialism and equality, because it's no secret that both in the United States or around the world, even in Israel, the word socialist is synonymous, or even leftist, is almost like a curse to some people. Mm-hmm. How does one maintain that in a world where capitalism is the ruling agenda?
Yeah, I think, I was born in 1990, around the time that the Soviet Union disintegrated. And I joined the Communist Party much later on, in this prevailing neoliberal hegemony. And I think that in the past 10 years, and especially since 2011, we are seeing all over the world a global phenomena of people going back to the left, social left wing, with the labor agenda, and against the incredible inequality that is just becoming deeper and deeper in this neoliberal hegemony. So I think we are, as communists, who have been communist here in Israel for 100 years and have been the only Jewish Arab party since then.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the major things about being a communist in Israel. But we have always been in that place against capitalism, against the neoliberal hegemony, and against the occupation. We've been offering the two-state solution since '67, and. So I think now the world is joining us in a sense.
One person at least, Ami Kaufman with us in studio, would say, I'm wondering with you, is Bernie Sanders somebody? I don't want to call him a communist.
He's not a communist.
He's not a communist.
He's not a communist.
He's not a communist. No, he's not a communist.
But we like him.
Exactly, but we like him. Because the idea of, can communism light be something that is sold nowadays? Are people, or
I don't think even Bernie's interpretation of social democracy is even close to communism light. It's something very different. It's really apples and oranges. He's talking about socialism. He's talking, he talks about the Norwegian models, Scandinavian models. I don't think that's exactly the same kind of. You agree with? It's not the exact.
No, it's not the exact same thing. It's something though that the Western society tries to lump in together in terms of preventing people.
Well,
from
they use it for their
attracted.
agenda. Especially Republicans use it for their agenda. They say, if you hear how they say the word socialist with such venom in there, they really hate that word. They just can't. Socialism, yeah. Okay. It's used basically for their agendas, just to say that this is not something that we agree with, that we can't tolerate.
That cannot be tolerated. Quickly to you, Nimrod, though, at the end of the day, it's the type of communism that would be practiced today would have to be different, wouldn't it?
Of course, but I don't think the question of being a communist and being against capitalism is a question of what is your final vision for society. I mean, we are for equality, we are for overruling the rule of capital over society, but I believe that it is mainly a question of struggle and how you conduct your struggle. And if you want to conduct your struggle in an internationalist way, in a way that does see the social questions as the root of the problem, then I think we are the only true socialist and peace-seeking movement in Israel. And we work in coalitions. So, Bernie Sanders in the US, Jeremy Corbyn in Britain, Podemos, Syriza, and so on. It is all part of a larger movement, which is the return of the left to this terribly neoliberal world.
I want to say, Nimrod Flaschenberg, you are, first of all, you look the part. You look the part, but very passionate words, and I think Maya might be sold.
A great exhibition, by the way.
It's a beautiful exhibition.
Way to go for Bat Yam Municipality and Museum.
Bat Yam, woo.
Bat Yam, yes, resident right here. I want to thank you both because we're locking you in studio.